So just a few words about me. My name is Daniele Ceccarelli. I work in the automation product management team. I'm among the team. I'm the one that is mostly involved into standardization, and that's why that's what we are going to talk about today. We are going to provide an overview of what's happening in the standardization communities when it comes to AI. In particular, talking about AI in standardization, the first thing that comes to our mind is autonomous networks. Autonomous networks is a new framework, a new architecture that is being defined in TMF. Some of you are probably already familiar with that, some others less. So we will try to provide here an overview to introduce the topic to everyone. We are going to see what is the vision of autonomous networks, the ingredients, the frameworks, and then you probably heard about the famous network layers from layer 0 to layer 5. We will discuss about them. And then one thing that we wanted to add in this discussion is a description of how, where our Crosswork portfolio, our automation portfolio fits into the various layers. So let's start our short journey from two keywords that you probably heard so many times when hearing about autonomous networks. 0x, self-x. What does this mean? Well, it really depends on the perspective from which you are looking at autonomous networks. We have the customer perspective. Basically, this is describing the services and the capabilities that are seen by the user, by the customer of the network. And on the other side, we have the network operator perspective. So when it comes to the customer, we are referring to zero wait, zero trouble, zero touch. What does it mean? With zero wait, we are referring to automated service provisioning as of today. With the zero trouble, we are referring to the experience and the awareness that the customer has of the network, including faults, complaints, and so on. And zero touch is basically the progress of the life cycle of the services in the network, and the fact that the services are meeting the service level agreements or not. Before moving forward, you probably noticed here at the top of our table, we are speaking about L3 characteristics. So we will get more information about these in the next slides, but level 3 among all the different levels of autonomous networks is the benchmark today. It's considered the state of the art, where most of the vendors and the network operators are or tend to be in this period. So back to our perspective and dimensions. When it comes to the network operator, we are no longer speaking about 0x, but we are speaking about self-x. What does it mean? With self-x, we refer to self-configuration, self-healing, self-optimizing. At the level 3 of the autonomous networks, this means that configuration is reviewed and automatically delivered, speaking about self-configuration. Provisioning of accurate fault identification and localization when it comes to self-healing, and optimization of a single well-defined objective when we are speaking about the self-optimization. But what are the ingredients that the building blocks that the autonomous networks suite builds on top of. First of all, is a simplified infrastructure. Probably, if you go from the bottom of the automation layer, when we speak about EMS systems, to the very top, where we have the customer-facing components, there are you might find tens of different layers, pieces of software and components. So the idea here is to reduce the number of layers, and as a consequence, the number of hops between the layers. The second building block is the closed loop. So basically, the closed loop refers to the full life cycle of everything that happens inside an autonomous domain, which is the third block of the third building block of our architecture. Basically, with autonomous domain, we refer to a basic logical entity. It could be, for example, an IP domain. It could be an optical domain, a RAN domain, everything that is managed autonomously. And then finally, we are moving from a configuration-based type of approach between the various layers to something that is intent-based, so something that is simpler and easier to manage and verify. So all the different building blocks mixed to build a framework. This is the autonomous network framework. It's built on 3 layers and 4 closed loops between them. Starting from the bottom, we have the resource operation layer. Is basically where the automation capabilities are applied within a domain. Again, IP domain, optical, microwave, RAN, you name it. Then there is the service operation layer. It's where services are handled. This is something that can span across multiple domains. Take, for example, I don't know, a NATO slice. It could be something that spans the RAN, the IP, the core domain to provide an end-to-end service that needs to be orchestrated. And then finally, there is the business operation layer where we deal with the capabilities available to the end customer, to the final customer. And then we have the closed loops. Closed loop at the level of the resources, services, business, and finally the user closed loop, basically the super loop going from the user to the devices and back. But I guess you are now curious to know more about the different layers. Here they are. So if we go from one extreme side to the other, we have layer 0, where everything is completely manual. Manual operations, manual maintenance. On the opposite side, we have a fully autonomous networks where basically the operator is barely interacting with the network. And obviously, in between, we have different shades of gray. If you remember, at the beginning, we started speaking about level 3. Why is that? Because from level 2 to level 3 is where we have the operational disruption. If you see here, the levels below 3, so 0, 1, and 2, are levels which are where we have human operations assisted by a system. Above that, from 3 onwards, we have system operations assisted by a human. So here there is this shift of ownership and responsibility from one layer to the other. And then another key step where everyone is working in these days is between level 3 and 4, where we move from conditional autonomous networks to highly autonomous networks, basically where AI and machine learning kick in. The first thing that I asked myself when I started working in this area was, okay, where is my portfolio in this ladder? Where are the various operators? There is a research which was done a few months back. It was at the end of 2023, where several large service providers have been interviewed to understand where they thought their network was in the various layers. And you see that at the end of last year, the vast majority was between level 1 and level 2. So before the shift of ownership that we spoke about before between level 2 and level 3. Some of them thought they were already at level 4. This is quite strange because basically at the end of last year, their AI and machine learning were very far from being introduced, but probably in some small domains, this was the case. What will happen in 5 years? For now, as we speak, most of the service providers see them moving at least, if you look at the difference between the two rows, one level up in the hierarchy. So you see the 9% of layer 0 moving to layer 1, a bunch of the layer 1 to layer 2, and so on and so forth. So they foresee to move forward by one level and start embracing the AI capabilities and functionalities to fully move to level 4. So what about vendor certification? Is there a certification available today to certify where your portfolio sits in the ladder? The answer is yes and no, in the sense that the TMF defines different areas to be evaluated in order to get the ranking. For some of them, there are quite accurate questionnaires with detailed questions, detailed answers. Depending on the answer, you get a quite accurate score. We are speaking about decimals. So, for example, 3.12 or 2.72. For some others, there is none, and so the evaluation is something more high level and subjective. So if you hear people speaking about a network which is 3.74, probably that's a too high level of accuracy to be true, at least as of now. As I said, more questionnaires are being developed and will be available for an accurate evaluation. But today, most of the evaluation is still very high level. From a standardization point of view, where are we? Autonomous networks are being defined by TMF, which is sort of the main driver for AI introduction, at least from a standardization point of view. The ITF is also starting to investigate the area. We have some working groups in ITF that are mostly focusing on the interaction between agents, the interaction between agents and the existing components in the network, because we are not going to throw away our networks. We need to have the newly introduced agent interwork with what is there and with the existing protocols. And a lot of work is being done there. Then let's go back now to the very first table that we introduced at the beginning. So now we are comparing the characteristics of level 3 and level 4, where we are, where we want to be in the near future. So you see, 0.8, we are moving from automated service provisioning to automated service delivery. What does it mean? The automated service provisioning relies on a lot of manual interaction, so like feasibility check, check that the service is properly instantiated and delivered, and the only part that is automatically done is the provisioning. We are moving towards something that is a single click. So from the request to the confirmation, everything is automated. And here something similar is applied to the different areas. For zero trouble, for example, from awareness and visualization, we move to a complete experience of self-evaluation and self-assurance done by the network. From service progress and SLA visualization, we are moving to proactive recommendation issued by the system to the operator to improve the network efficiency. On the other side, from the network perspective, we are moving towards something more proactive. So we have pre-event simulation, so the possibility to do what-if analysis, be capable to understand if and when a given situation will verify. Prediction and prevention is something that regards the self-healing. And then from a single objective optimization, example, from the single IP domain to something that is multi-objective. So the different domains collaborating with each other. Example, an IP and optical optimization done together. And Iran interacting with the data center domain to improve service delivery and stuff like that. So you see the introduction of AI, how is changing the different dimensions from level 3 to level 4. And last, just to tell you something about how the Crosswork portfolio is evolving and will be evolving in the next year. So where are we starting from? These are the 6 pillars of our portfolio, which include an automation workflow based on the workflow manager, assurance done at all layers, assurance of IP services done by the Crosswork network controller, to IP optical multi-layer services in the HCO. Service provisioning with the network service orchestrator, which is the most widely deployed service orchestrator among the top operators, to the optimization with segment routing, SRv6, path optimization, leadership, and so on. Planning, which is probably the first area where we started introducing AI, with AI-based capacity planning and optimization, and visualization, again, done specifically by each domain controller, but spanning all the layers from layer 0 to layer 3 of the OSI stack in the hierarchical controller. So this is our starting point, something that is a robust level 3 in the autonomous network ladder, and which will evolve, which we are already evolving towards level 4. Next year, we will be introducing AI and machine learning, moving from reactive behavior to preventive. So these are some topics, some things, some aspects that you have already seen in the previous table when moving from level 3 to level 4. And from minimization of the network incidents impact to the minimization of network incidents themselves, in order to reach in the year after, in 2026, a complete level 4 compliance with decision making based on predictive analysis or active loop management, and so on and so forth. So this is the path that we are planning to follow. with our portfolio.
Cool. Thank you, Daniele. That was super helpful. There's a lot of moving parts there. There's a lot of specifications and different domains and stuff. So I think that was super, at least it would, I think, give folks a place to start and start to understand where they are and where they might go. So let's move on. So just a reminder, we do have, we are all about interaction, interactivity here. So ask a question. We have a panel of super smart folks that will ready to answer any and all questions. If you have questions for the presenters, they're all online, and you can follow up with them directly. So if you want, resources, want to know where to follow up, if you have a question about something you see or you're here on the slides or the presenter, please feel free to ask your questions, and we'll either follow up here, or I think maybe we'll post the answers in the Dev Hub if we can't answer them live. Anyway, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit, delve a little bit deeper and talk about product. So I'm going to talk about CNC. I think many of you know NSO is one of our anchor products for the automation portfolio. A lot of you are NSO customers, and I thank you dearly for that. But also, folks want to know, okay, where do I go next? I've got the NSO thing done, doing a good job there, but at the same time, where do we go next? And we'll talk about we'll talk about CNC and also about how do you get there if you're currently an NSO customer and looking at CNC. But before we get there, I've been reminded we actually have some little Q&A for Daniele. So let me actually pivot back to you, Daniele, before we start the next session. So we hear a lot of timelines, right, about when you can expect level 4 networking. I hear everything from, we're going to do it next year to, 2026, 2027. Just between you and I, Daniele, what's your guess as to what's reasonable, both in terms of timeline and in terms of actual functionality? Is it we need to get all parts of the network operations level 4? Or do you think customers will find a particular pain point and focus on that? Or you live this daily. What's realistic timeframes? Because I think a lot of our customers, a lot of people watching, they're either trying to figure out plans or their bosses are asking them for plans. So how do you frame that?
Having the entire network moved forward by one level in a couple of years is absolutely impossible. Again, just among you and me. Actually, this is something that obviously needs to be done per domain. So it could be that some operators start from the IP domain, some others from the RAN, some others from the data center. I would expect to have 1-2 domains fully moved, fully upgraded to level 4 in the next, let's say, 2-3 years. For a complete migration of the network, this is something that, in my opinion, will take much, much longer. We are speaking, I would say, but at least 5 years, if not more than that. But if I was an operator, I would be more than happy to have 1 or 2 domains fully migrated to level 4 in the time frame that we're speaking about, in a couple of years.
So do you think that comes from just the people process of evolving this, or do you think some of the technology is just not there yet for level 4 operations?
It's a mix of the two things. We need that all the ingredients, all the building blocks to be ready. We need to have the operator willing and ready to embrace it. The vendors ready with the products. We also need the standardization to be ready, because I don't think that an operator is going to buy the entire automation stack from a single vendor. So we need the standard protocols, standard mechanisms between them to be defined. That's why it's, we need all the ingredients to be ready, not a single one.